everybody. We're going to talk about not the back of the book. Not okay. The Devil and the Midwife by Kristina Suko. This is historical fiction. See, I got a bunch of tabs. I'm not going to go through these tabs with you because it's going to give away the story. The tabs are for me to remember something, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. This was published last year in 2025. This is Kristina Suko's first book. It tells a story of a young lady by the name of Katrina. I'm believing that's the way you say that name. It is a Scots name. Scottish name. So this takes place in Scotland. And she has decided that she's going to be a spinster for the rest of her life because of an event that occurred when she was younger. So there were some assumptions made about her, which made her undesirable as marriage material or something. So she has just resigned herself that that's just going to be the way that it is. It's fine. She can be by herself. She doesn't have any issues with that. She has trained herself to become a midwife. Sorry, moving stuff around. So she is a midwife. I'm saying a lot and I can't stand it. I'm sorry. It's annoying, right? So she decides that she is going to be a midwife, and that's just what she's going to do, and she's not going to get married, and she's perfectly fine with that. However, her family is not perfectly fine with that. They don't remember if they're a clan or not. I read this book, I think, in August of last year in 2025, and now I can't remember. Anyway, they were low on funds. So they weren't like the normal villagers. They weren't like the peasants. They were a little bit upper class from the peasants, but they still needed to work and do stuff like that. But they were low on funds. The family wasn't sure exactly how they were going to survive, in the comfort that they were used to living in. And how convenient for them that there was a guy who was looking for a wife. Very convenient for Katrina's parents. This guy is a clan leader, a laird. They own land. He's the leader of this particular family. Lord McMahon. Yes. His last name is McNanam. You try saying it. McNamond, who is the Laird of Calhoun Castle. So his first name is Reese, and that's what we call him in the book. That's how he's spoken about in the book. So Reese is he's been widowed. He lost his wife and child. So right now he has no heirs when this story opens up, and he has no wife either. And one of his clansmen, now I can't remember right off the top of my head if it was like a brother or a cousin or something like that, stands up and tells him, hey, you're not married, you don't have any kids, so there's no heir, so I could just come in here and take this seat, and I'm going to become the Laird of Calhoun. And Reese is like, no, I don't think so. Because, you don't know what you're doing. You don't care for people the way that I take care of them or whatever. He's not going to have this challenger in his family. But rather than kicking him out of the clan, which might have had really bad impact on him, because he might rally up some people and decide to take over the land and kick the laird out. He agrees that he should get married and that he should have a son, an heir. And that's fine and dandy. But as I said before, very convenient, this agreement happened while Katrina's parents were trying to figure out what to do. So behind Katrina's back, her mother and father are dealing with the Laird of Calhoun, so Rhys, and they have brokered a deal where they are going to marry her off. This will ensure funds, security, and safety for her family. So, if you're not familiar with, like, the way that things were among nobility, and perhaps they still are now, marriages were brokered. Women were the means by which to provide heirs and secure the woman's family. So they were kind of like property where they were bought and sold, which is terrible. It's horrible that that happened. But this is not a spiel on what I think about historical notions, because we can't look at the historical notions through modern lenses because we do not understand the time and why that was the way it was. I'm not saying that it was right. I'm just saying that there were reasons it was the way it was, but they weren't always good reasons. Okay. Well, Katrina comes home from work, dealing with babies, and her parents are like, "You need to go upstairs and get changed right now." So Katrina is all a mess. Her hair's not up, her hair's not done. She's bloody from, birthing babies, and her skirts and stuff are filthy. And so they're like, "You need to go upstairs and get changed right now." And Katrina is like, she's very self-assured. She's like, "Well, no one's going to tell me what to do. Why is this happening? Why do you want me to get all dressed up all of a sudden?" And it kind of got slipped out. And unbeknownst to Katrina, Rhys is in the house already. So Rhys hears this uproar in the foyer of the house. And he comes out and he's like, "Oh, okay, you're going to be... Okay, nice to meet you, Katrina." And they kind of have some barbs, they do blah, 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 blah. And she's like, fine. She resigns herself to it. She's like, "Well, I'm still going to do my midwifery. I'm not going to, whatever. I'm just going to do my own thing. Fine. I'm just going to be your wife, whatever." And this is the attitude that she has, until later on. But what I find strange is that she projects a lot onto Rhys. So she knows full well that this is probably a marriage of convenience. They've never met each other before. Although sparks fly, they're on the down low, so they're not really, the two of them aren't really, well, maybe he is more than she is, realizing that they're there. But they get married and she goes to live in his castle, and she expects certain things to happen. And she doesn't understand why, he doesn't consummate the marriage and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, but honey, you said that this was just a marriage of convenience. Why are you so worried about him, in your bedroom? Why are you worried that he might have a mistress or something like that? Why are you projecting this onto him? And she's just projecting her fears, right, onto him. And they're very strong, and it's very obvious that she has some insecurities, which is, I get it. I have insecurities too. That's for human beings, right? I just hated that she projected them that way. She expected certain things Rhys to do, but Rhys wasn't intending on doing anything. He wasn't going to bed her unless, that's a terrible phrase, unless she was okay with it. He wasn't, yeah, this is the way things were back then, but he was a decent person and not going to take advantage of her. He is very close with his sister-in-law, and she thinks that she is Rhys's mistress, so she just makes that assumption, and now she's mad at everybody. So she decides, well, if he's not going to treat me like I'm his wife, then I'm not going to act like I'm his wife, and I'm just going to do what I have been doing. I have families to take care of, so I'm going to take care of the families. Now, lairds and ladies did not do this kind of stuff. So she's traipsing about, and they're like, "But you're the lady of Calhoun. You don't have a job. You get to stay here, have babies, and take care of us," or whatever. And she's like, no, but I have people to take care of. They're expecting someone to take care of their babies and their birthing process and their pregnancies, and there's no one there to do that, so I'm going to keep doing it. Okay, so she keeps doing it. Now, I already said that, she projects a lot. Something else that we know about Katrina is that her father, having not had a son, taught her unconventionally, how to defend herself, how to do things so she could take care of herself, which is great. There's a big deal made out of the fact that she could take care of herself. In fact, she bested Reese when he challenged her to something because, whatever, he was going to have some fun. Knowing full well that she had been taught how to do things, whatever, because her parents told him all this, whatever. He's in the yard. Reese is in the yard, practicing sparring and stuff like that. And I think he's using a bow and arrow and that sort of thing. And she beats him at a contest. And everyone laughs because I think that's hilarious that she beat her own husband, who is the devil of Calhoun. So he has a fierce reputation as a fighter. He is not necessarily mean and horrible, but he is fierce in a battle and protecting the things that he cares about. And she finds herself in a situation where she is captured by either the cousin or the brother of Reese who wants to take over the clan. So he's still not happy that Reese got married. Like, at the beginning, this was supposed to satisfy everything. Now, how long does it take to have a kid, right? 9 months. So he's going to have to hang out for a little while to see if there's a baby coming. So he just decided, well, I'm not waiting. I still want the clan, so I'm going to kidnap his wife. Okay. Well, she does nothing. She doesn't, when this happens, she doesn't do anything to protect herself, right? The only thing that she did do was she had a knife in her pocket. So in her 18th century garb, they had big pockets. She stuck a knife in there, and that's what she was carrying with her when she would go take care of the babies and the mothers and all that kind of stuff. And she uses that knife to get herself out of a situation. The knife is gone. She left it with that person. She escapes. She gets captured again, remembers that she doesn't have a knife and can't do anything with it. And then all of a sudden she's using a knife. So there's a continuity error there. It's a big glaring continuity error. At least it was for me. I pay attention to things like that when I'm reading a story, and it was very, very blatant that she had this knife. And the continuity error made it impossible for her to have escaped the second time. So she couldn't have done what the book says she did because she didn't have a knife at all. Okay. That really bothered me because it made the end of the story impossible. So I don't know what happened during the editing. It wasn't caught. And I wrote to the author, and I'll try to insert something. I did write to the author. I don't remember when it was. It'll be in my little insert, to ask about that I had a question about it. And I was like, I think there's a continuity error. Maybe you can help me understand what happened here. And I gave specifics, page numbers and all that kind of stuff, and asked my continuity question. And unfortunately, I haven't heard back. It's been several months. I get it. She's busy. She runs a full-time YouTube channel, and she's also writing her second novel, and I wish all the best for her. She's very sweet, at least from what I can tell, but she's busy. I get it. I didn't want to put off making this video any longer, or else, it's going to be 2030, and then we're talking about 2025 book. Not that we haven't done that before. We've had a couple of 100-year-old books, so that's fine. But yeah, that's the one thing that really, really bothered me about this book, and I agonized over it. And I was like, has no one else caught this? Is there, what's because I can't get over it. It bothers me a lot. but it's all right. I'm not mad at her. She wrote this wonderful. It's a wonderful story. It's heartwarming. There's danger. Um, there's rescue. There's stuff like that happening in here. Um, so I'm not mad at the author for what she was trying to tell, for the story she was trying to tell. I'm just disappointed in her editors. There could be just a missing paragraph that would solve the whole thing. So maybe one day she will issue a re-edition, like the second edition or something like that, addressing the continuity error. I did read it several times, and that's why I have all the tabs in it, because I'm like, okay, this is where all these things happen, and the what the continuity error is affecting. Um, anyway, the story is about a plus size woman, um, which is great. I love that. I hate that stories don't focus on heroines being that way. Like sometimes, they're treated like the older person, or something like that, where they're off to the side. They're a secondary character. They're not the main character, and she is the main character, and I love it. I love it. And Reese is like, wow, he's just bananas for her. He's very attracted to her, and I just love that. I think that's wonderful. We need more of that, where it's not tropey, where the heroine is just a regular old person like everybody. People come in all different shapes and sizes. Why can't the heroines in our stories be that way too? Um, so yeah, I enjoyed the story. I will say that it's worth reading if you're into historical romance. This is a kind of Beauty and the Beast telling, but it was good. It wasn't like corny or anything like that. Any what am I trying to say? Any nudity or sex or anything like that, it's all behind closed doors. The author doesn't like put that in the book, which is great, because we need to be able to use our imagination. We don't need to be spoon-fed every single thing that happens, including that, like some other novels that I have read. I don't want to be spoon-fed. I want to read the story and figure things out. And I recommend the book. Go to your library, see if they have it. It is a new publication. As I said, it was published in 2025. Maybe they have it. If they don't, maybe you can ask for it and see if your library will find it somewhere and include it in their rotation. Um, Let me know down in the comments, have you read it? If you have, tell me what you think. Did you catch the continuity error? Um, if you didn't, that's okay too. I'm not trying to spoil it for you. Um, it didn't, I mean, it bothered me, but it didn't spoil it. I was just happy that, the events turned out happy. Um, yeah, I'm losing my train of thought. Getting hungry. Getting hungies. Hungies. So, y'all, be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. When you go down in the comments, be nice. In your everyday life, be nice. All right? I won't tolerate unkindness, inconsiderate people, especially in my comments. That's not what this site is for. Tell me what you're reading, and y'all have a great day. I appreciate y'all coming. Bye.